You're watching Spotlight, a production of Culture in Maine, York's cultural showcase. I'm Carla Christopher, poet, publisher, and producer. Join me, along with editor, musical guru, and video extraordinaire Jay Schmuck, plus wild outdoorsman and videographer, along with technical extraordinaire Cliff Kern, and all of our friends as we go behind the scenes and get into the underground of what's really going on in the arts and cultural amazing explorations that are happening in South Central Pennsylvania. You'll see everything from art to music to dance to theater, and you'll also get to meet the people who really make it happen, find out how and why, along with some great studio performances, some amazing on-the-street footage. You'll also get the real story, and that's what we're here to shine a spotlight on. Let's go. Well, welcome back to another fabulous episode of Culture in Maine, South Central Pennsylvania's cultural showcase, where we talk about anything and everything that has to do with arts, culture, and community positivity. And I have one of the community's biggest warriors of the uplift, who is doing one of the coolest projects that I have heard about in a month of Sundays, as my mom used to say. And I am really excited that we get to learn more about what's happening around 10,000 Acts of Kindness, celebrating York's unity. And I love that it even has T-shirts already.
Exactly, we have
the
T-shirts.
movement has
you can
T-shirts.
Get them at Ironics Coffee Shop, okay? They are available. Okay.
So welcome,
Thank you.
Joan Maruskin, to the show. And I'm super excited you're here. Where did the idea for 10,000 Acts of Kindness come from?
Okay, well, Pastor Ramona Kindard, who is the Vice President of the Black Ministers Association, and I were walking, I think we were on our way to Ironics, because ironically becomes involved. And
best coffee house
we were talking about, next summer is 50 years from York's riots, which were among the most violent riots in the nation, and that there's going to be a lot of publicity about the riots and reliving them. And that we realized that would happen, but that we believe there has been unity and growth made in York over the last 50 years. So what do we do about that? So we said, okay, let's do a unity dinner. Maybe on a bridge, on a main street, and have people come from north, south, east, and west, all the neighborhoods, to sit down together for dinner.
Okay. So
we walked into Ironics, and David Smith, the owner of Ironics, said, great idea, but you have to make the but, David's but.
And somehow it always ends up getting bigger when he says, but.
Yes. And remember, he did the dinner for 500 and the gold tickets.
He did, for the 500th anniversary of York.
Yes, for the anniversary of York. So he said, you have to have a 1.5 mile long table to beat the Guinness Book of Records.
A 1.5 mile long
That's
table.
That's a fantastic idea. Okay. So that was decided. And we sent it to a few people, and they loved it. All right? So then we go back for another meeting at Ironics the next day, and David says, and to get a seat at the table, you do one of 10,000 acts of kindness. And so it's celebrating York's unity through 10,000 acts of kindness, ending with a multicultural celebration festival and a over 1.5 mile long table to beat the Guinness Book of Records for the world's longest table and to show unity in York. And it started in Ironics, and ironically people walked in and we simply say, hey, and they say yes. And it has been just soundly embraced, and it's fun.
So where does one put a 1.5 mile long table? How do we even do that?
Actually, we learned it's going to be a 1.8 mile table. And it's going to be in Penn Park, which is plenty of room.
Okay.
And it ironically, I'm using that word a lot, but ironically, Penn Park was the site of the beginning of the riots. They began in Penn Park. So it becomes a full circle.
Wow.
Okay.
So there will be this long, I'm just imagining like this giant spider.
Well, it'll kind of zigzag through the trees. And as an incredible blessing, we have an engineering firm, JMT Engineering in York, that said, oh, we know every tree in the park and we have the pictures of it. and they are doing the logistics. People have been volunteering for just about everything. Wow. So they're going to design the layout for the tables, and the tables have to touch at least the corners.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they are taking on that monumental task and being our gurus on doing that. So we have no idea what it's going to look like, but it will be the 1.8 miles.
Now,
and 10,000 people sitting down for dinner together
10,000.
on June 30th, 2019 in Penn Park.
Now, when I think about, I'm mind-boggled. I'm just mind-boggled at the logistics and the thought of 10,000 people. And just by being able to get 10,000 people together, you're looking at a really diverse group of people.
That's
you have
the
to be
idea.
to fill the table. You're
That's the
looking at
idea.
all different ages and races and abilities and health levels and places where
Exactly.
they live and
there'll
neighborhoods.
be a handicap space for handicapped people, and we will be paying attention to the elderly, and there will be enough porta potties for 10,000 people.
And bringing all these people together, but I mean, I'm thinking about pairing this just really fun, really beautiful, really unifying thing, and how that contrasts so sharply to the York City riots that happened
Right.
50 years ago. And I know that's something that not everybody is fully aware of, that, 50 years ago, we had race riots where we had, police dogs being set upon people, and we had people that died.
Right.
We had just an incredibly traumatic time. And I know I moved to York probably, just over 10 years ago. And when people speak about the riots, when people who lived here back then speak about that time, I mean, you would think that it happened yesterday.
Exactly.
There is
the wounds
so
are
much.
still there. The wounds are still there, and the pain is still there. And unfortunately, we tend to talk more about the negative things and the pain rather than the good. And we realize, and I know with the work that you do, there's so much good happening in York.
Oh my goodness,
There
absolutely.
is so much good happening, and new things are happening, and people are coming together across cultures, across races. Now, York County, I'm talking about county, not York City. York County
Sure.
is known nationwide as a racist place.
And isn't that just heartbreaking?
It's so sad. So as we look at this, living here, knowing the people in York, knowing and working, I mean, Ramona and I, and it is a very diverse. We have representatives from the Asian community, the Black community, the Hispanic community, all ages,
Love
the
that.
schools, and knowing that there's a large variety of people that love York. There are many of us that have believed for years that York has the ability to be a light to the nation and to give a message to the nation. And we sincerely believe it, and we continue to embrace it with other things that are going on, but we're going to talk about 10,000X right now. And so there's actually, in addition to the Guinness Book of Records for the world's longest table, we have 3 major goals. Okay? And they are promoting unity through kindness,
Okay.
to help to fulfill Dr. Martin Luther King's dream of a table of brotherhood, and to claim York as the kindest place in America.
Wow. Wow,
Okay.
that's no small ambition
It is
right
no
there.
small ambition, but we sincerely believe that if we have 10,000 people sitting at that table who have all done acts of kindness, and these acts of kindness, I'll talk more about how you do it, okay, will be done
Yeah.
throughout the county, and it's spreading, then we have every right to claim York as the kindest place in America.
Wow.
And the really cool aside is that we have had people from other cities hearing about it and saying, hey, can we do one of those dinners? So right now we have companion kindness dinners, Unity Through Kindness dinners in Delaware, New Jersey, Maryland, North Carolina, and Virginia set up.
What?
And it's so simple. So if anyone listening has relatives or they're from one of these other states or Dakota or North Dakota, wherever they're from, all that means is they will get a group of people together who do acts of kindness and then sit down together for a dinner on June 30th, 2019.
That's amazing.
Isn't that cool? It is amazing.
So how do you define an act of kindness to be able to come to this dinner?
Okay, so we're very clear. It's not simply opening the door, or like some kids say, if I pick up somebody's pencil, that's not the case. But an act of kindness, we say it's a recognized act of kindness. It can be impulsive or planned.
Okay.
It takes some time and effort, and it results in a meaningful or tangible benefit to others. And by others, it can be people, animals, the environment, the neighborhood. So that's a recognized act of kindness. Now, how does it get recognized?
Right.
And how do you get a seat at the table? So the project is being led by kindness ambassadors throughout the county. And we have kindness ambassadors at the government level, in businesses and organizations, in multi-faith groups, in schools and neighborhoods. And I also encourage just families. A family can decide to do acts of kindness with each other and recognize acts of kindness. You know, break down some of those barriers at all different levels. Sure. And so you pick a kindness ambassador. We'll take a school district. Okay, let's say, for example, Red Lion School District has completely embraced this. So they have a staff member who's the lead kindness ambassador. And then the fifth grade class, I have a grandson who's in fifth grade in Southern Elementary School, and he's the fifth grade kindness ambassador. And then they will have a sixth grade kindness ambassador, a seventh grade kindness ambassador. So you get the picture?
Okay, yeah.
And let me add before I forget that if you are under 13, or 13 and under, I'm sorry, and you get a kindness coin, because when you do an act of a recognized act of kindness, you get a beautiful bronze-looking metal kindness coin.
Ooh.
That says "Promoting Unity Through Kindness, York, PA," and the date on it, and this symbol on the back and the front of it. Okay, it's to keep as your souvenir of having done that. But a child who does a kindness act brings an adult with them automatically.
Okay.
Now, so people say, well, what if you have over 10,000 people, Joan? And we say, second seatings.
I love it.
Second seatings, you know? Second seatings. So the schools at different levels, the orchestra, the band, the cross school choruses, we're looking for, and I'll say this so everyone hears this, we would like to mount a countywide kids kindness concert. Where kids from all over, maybe schools, churches, neighborhoods, families get together, find songs that they think define acts of kindness, and there are a few of them for kids out there, and do a free concert to the public. Let me assure everyone that everything is absolutely free. The goal is to wipe out all financial barriers, because even if you charge a minimum fee and you have 4 kids, it becomes too expensive. So the dinner is absolutely free, all of the events. We have the AARP who is putting up a photo booth for 10,000 people, and anybody who can line up, and you know the little strips of photos that you would get?
Oh yeah, I love those.
There's going to be, so you get your photo free. If you're long enough, or you're in line long enough, you get the photo free. So the ice cream trucks, whatever happens to be there, and all the food will be free. All the food will be free and organized, and it'll be sit down, and it'll recognize the different cultures and people that we have in the area. And then entertainment from as many ethnic groups as possible, and local entertainers will be entertaining throughout the day at the Multicultural Festival. And throughout the year, schools and people will be doing kindness events, and they will all be free to the public. Everything will be free.
And that was actually the way that I stumbled upon this
movement. Yes, because do you want to tell them the event you're involved in, Carla?
Sure.
This is so exciting. Let me say, I was like on such a high when I left
goodness.
And Cal that day.
And it happened in Ironic Coffee House. Ironically, I was walking into Ironic for another meeting and ran into you, and then ran into the amazing arts educator, Cal Weary, behind Weary Arts Group.
Right.
And as we were talking about these different events popping up all around the county that raise awareness for this incredible movement, and that create a space for people to do acts of kindness, this brainchild emerged of a 24-hour music marathon, where it can be an open door jam session,
Right.
and people that have every different kind of musical talent, musical interest can come in over a 24-hour period, and there will be one song
Right.
of unity. The music will never stop for all 24 hours.
Right.
And so that's
so exciting.
That's going to be hosted. It's a real thing. It's
a
coming
real thing.
true. Happening second Saturday at Union Lutheran.
In November.
I'm sorry, yes, right, second
Saturday
Saturday in November
Right.
at Union Lutheran, 408 West Market Street.
Right.
So from 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday all the way through till 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. And when I think of music, I really think of music as the thing that brings people together.
Exactly.
You know, that you just, it doesn't matter what type of music it is, when you hear a beat, people start to dance and move, and even if music is in a different language, you don't understand it, and you can have all different instruments, different voices, but somehow when they all come together, it's able to create this one song.
In one song.
And
with every voice. And
I
it'll go
love
from one
that.
voice to the next voice. And it can be
Right.
choruses in groups of people, or single guitar players at 2 in the morning in the middle of the night singing and playing.
And I love this idea that, I mean, there are, you know, kids from local schools that
Right.
are coming in and doing some of their musical acts to kind of perform along with the beat. There's people from the church that are coming in and singing some old hymns and choir songs as part of it. There's drum circle people coming in and bringing their hand drums. So there's all different types of musicians and voices, but creating one song that can stretch for an entire day. I just think this is the neatest thing. And I love that, you know, anybody that wants to be a part of it can do this. That if you are at home and you're like, you know what, I would love for my kids to see this. I would love for my family to be a part of this. I would love to just sit and listen and hear just the beautiful diversity of York County embodied in music, that you can come and be a part of this. And there's food happening, there's a free community breakfast where people can just come and eat and enjoy sitting together and listening to the music if they want, but that there'll be snacks throughout the day, and you can really just come and get out of the cold and enjoy being part of the spirit of unity. So that's going to be an amazing second Saturday in November at Union.
Yeah, and then I'm going to add, it is absolutely free. You
Absolutely.
just walk in. However, if someone would like to bring a can of food, non-perishable food, they will be received on that day and given to the different food pantries that we have around the county.
Absolutely.
Because there is an incredible amount of food insecurity in York County.
That's right.
So we're helping to address that as well.
Sure, and
then
I love
every
that.
musician, this is their act of kindness to the community,
That's
giving their
right.
gift and their talent and their time for other people to come and listen.
So you can get kinds from Kindness Ambassadors
Right.
by coming and playing music and
Right.
sharing your talent with the community, or by using this opportunity as it being a drop spot to
Right.
receive canned goods that are going to the Well and other York County
Right.
Food Bank participants,
Right.
so that, you know, in this time before Thanksgiving, we're actually able to stock these food pantries and give them out. So I know that's one of the events. There's some other events that are happening too to raise awareness, yes?
Throughout the county, there is right now, there is a kids kindness art competition, and
Love it.
students around the county, from preschool through high school, are invited to do an 8x11 poster, the normal white piece of paper,
Sure.
a drawing or a painting of what they perceive to be kindness. And they are to send those drawings or paintings they can bring them to Ironics or send them to Ironics at 259 West Market Street, York 17403, I believe.
I think it might be 4
Might
over
be
there.
4, okay. 259 West
Right.
Market Street,
But
and it'll get there.
Ironics Coffee House is
Right.
right there in West Philadelphia at the corner of Newberry. It's a great art gallery and coffee shop. Easy place to find and come visit. So folks can mail it in or bring them in.
We will get the competitions. I
Okay.
know that there are schools around the county that are having their students do them. It ends on September 30th, which is a Sunday, so they can be postmarked on October 1st. That's fine. They will be judged by Ophelia Chambliss and Carol Oldenburg.
Ooh, two
and
of
two
York's
art teachers.
best
Yes, two of
artists.
York's best artists, who both are kindness ambassadors are in their own right, and part of the and Carol's part of one of our teams for the whole big project. Awesome. So they're working, and then 2 art teachers, Mary Jo Farrow being one, who is also one of the Acts of Kindness team members, and another art teacher whose name I'm forgetting at the moment. We'll look at them together to pick the competitions. And Creative York, which is one of the endorsers of 10,000 Acts of Kindness, is going to hold an event that will announce the winners, and the kids that win will get their prizes. And basically just an opportunity for people to get together, to see the other artwork that was done. And the kids that have taken time to do the posters will receive their kindness coins. So they now have their seat at the table. And in November, we're talking about having a photography contest for the same idea. And we have a photographer who is willing to do a class or 2 for people to learn about photographing. And so this will work out really nicely. So that's another event that we have. Okay. And Peter Boudreau's has his concert coming up in November.
He's been a guest on the show, a fabulous improv pianist.
He is a Celebrating York's Unity member of our team, and he actually was the music to open our kickoff date in June. So it's cool. And then do you want me to add who else is involved?
I would love to. Okay, some of these people are really familiar names to us.
The mayor, of course, has endorsed it. The governor at our kickoff sent a letter of celebration and confirmation about the project.
Shout out to Michael Helfrich and Governor Wolf. Thanks,
all of the
Tom
county
Wolf.
Commissioners are in. The county commissioners, in fact, the county commissioners already have 3 kindness ambassadors working in the county. And the first kindness coin was earned official kindness coin by a county employee because a member who was working with the kickoff had a flat tire and at the end of the event, and one of the county employees went and found jumper cables, et cetera, and changed the tires. So that was our first kindness coin.
Perfect.
Which is really interesting. So the county and Susie Burns at the opening challenged all other organizations to beat the county and the number of their organizations and as ambassadors. And Eric Menser from the York Revolution said, I accept that challenge. Challenged all businesses to get involved. And the York Revolution, as Eric said, is embracing it as part of their theme for their 2019 series. So they are very firmly behind us and working with students and team players. So the Revolution is involved. So we have the county at all levels, school districts, Red Lion School District, Southern School District is endorsing it with different schools and different organizations, but completely behind us. Central School District, my mind is blanking. West York Borough is part of it.
Wow.
East Hopewell Township Commissioners are part of it.
Wow.
So businesses across the county, we're working with the York Daily Record, we're working with the York Dispatch, we're working with WGAL. And the idea being to show good news. And I will say the media is being wonderful. They're saying, yes, we recognize there is good stuff happening, and we want people to know about that as well.
Wow.
So, so as I said, it's on many levels. We do have churches involved.
Sure.
We have, as I said, the schools, the Lincoln, the York Academy is involved. Lincoln Charter is involved.
Awesome.
Logos is involved. And then we go to the depths, to the outer edges of the county of people in Dover and in Wellsville. And so we're looking for it to spread as far as it possibly can. It's very exciting.
It is so exciting, and what an incredible network of people. And I have to ask though, like, why you? I mean, I can see why we could sit back in our armchairs and say, this is a great idea. Somebody should totally do that. What made you say, I'm willing to dedicate so much time, so much energy, so much logistical input, and really take on this Herculean task that I think most of us would probably have said, that's a great idea, but there's no way. You know, it's too much. It's so big. I mean, you're breaking Guinness World Records by bringing in dozens of really not always the most reachable feeling partners. What made you wake up one morning and be like, oh yeah, I'm the woman that's going to do this?
Oh, I'm not the woman that's going to do this. Okay, and neither is Ramona. But Ramona and myself and David and our team leaders and so many people involved simply say, it's called divine serendipity. I have to say it's divine, and Ramona will agree, and I will go back to what I said about York. We believe York is a place that will be an example for the nation. We have believed that. Pastor Bill Kearney, you may know him, and
Absolutely.
I have talked about this 20 years. We believe in York. There are people and pastors and businesses, Susie Burns, people all over the county who believe in York, and we also believe in divine serendipity. And that when God opens a door or a window in front of you, and you step through it, you don't say, how am I going to do this? You just say, okay. So I know that I'm speaking for myself, but I'm speaking for Pastor Ramona and David. And as an example of divine serendipity, I do not have really logistical organizational skills. I don't, Ramona doesn't, Dave, we all have different skills. And then through a phone call and randomly meeting somebody, Shelley Merkel shows up, who is our program, project manager, who has those skills. And it seemed, or the needs that we have, for setting up logistics. It just
things have continued to happen.
People continue to say, I will do it. Excuse me, it's a very expensive project. And as I said, everything is free. And everything is free because of the kindness and generosity of the great, wonderful philanthropists and businesses and organizations throughout York who are giving in-kind donations, monetary donations, support for it, and who are working with us. Yeah. So we simply say, I told you about the engineering company. We spoke at the Rotary, and divine serendipity heard us, and Andrew Mears stepped up and said, I know every tree in that park personally.
We've met before.
We've met those trees before, So that's pretty much what it is. We simply say, we're moving forward one step at a time, and we simply know it's going to happen.
Wow.
We do have, it's not public yet, who's going to cook the 10,000 meals. That's been taken care of. Okay. Is an example of things that are happening. York Water Company is providing drinking water for 10,000 people with a souvenir glass for everyone with a celebrating York's unity on one side, York Water on the other. Right, exactly. So you got the idea? It just keeps happening, okay? Jody Appel is our chairperson, which is very exciting. She is such a wonderful, wonderful person, okay? We are getting financial support, and I haven't asked their permission to announce how much money people are giving, so I won't do that.
Right.
But we are getting in-kind donations and financial help, and it's just all coming together.
So if people want to become a part of this movement, how can people at home reach out and become involved?
Everyone can become involved. They can go to www.10,000actsofkindness.org and become involved. They can send an email to 10,000 acts of kindness, all written out, at gmail.com, and say they want to be involved, and we will get in touch with them. They can become a kindness ambassador for their family, for their neighborhood, for their kids' school, for their bridge club. And we have periodically that actually today there are 2 kindness ambassador trainings at the library, one at 12:15 and one at 7 p.m. in the evening, but there will be kindness ambassador trainings throughout the county. So people in it's at Martin Library today, but so people at the southern end of the county can go to the library there, and the different parts. So kindness ambassador trainings will take place. You can send an email, or you can go to our Facebook page, which is Celebrating York's Unity Through Kindness.
Awesome.
And send a message saying, or stop in Ironics and say, I want information, and we'll hand out cards. Just saying you want information, we will get that information to you. And I will say that I would be willing to come and speak to schools, organizations, families, churches. We have a team of people in communications who would be willing to do that. So we are happy to help people in any way that we can. And I have to say, this is my little favorite thing, the suggestion I would like to make, because I mean, I know we see so many people where there are friends who haven't spoken to each other in years, and families who have black sheeps of the family, and and kind of problems between people. You can be a kindness ambassador at that level.
Wow.
If Aunt Susie has been ostracized from the family for 17 years, be the person in your family that says, let's invite Aunt Susie to Thanksgiving dinner, and everybody agrees, and break down the barrier that has been there. Because oftentimes, even friends haven't talked to each other in how many years, and they don't even know why. So we see it as a healing on this personal level, and having pastored a church, that's kind of one of my pet things in it. And also on a macro level, with people from different ethnicities working together, cross-culturally, to do acts of kindness for each other. And a little bit of kindness basically brings hope to someone. And it also gives you a seat at the table and good dinner.
Right? Who doesn't want a chance for a great dinner?
And a celebration, exactly.
Oh, well, Joan, thank you so much for taking the time, not just to tell us about this today, but to be one of the lights and the beacons in our community that are bringing this together.
It's just fun. It truly is. If you would have Ramona come in, she would say the same thing. And so would David. It just was. I believe that very often, as I said, we have something presented to us, and if we go with it, it's good. It's all good, as my 19-year-old grandson Asher says. It's all good.
Well, we will see all of you then at the table.
Amen. Thank you. I hope that amen's okay.
You see this here? That's all honey.
Oh, wow. And you could eat that like right now?
Yep.
That is awesome.
Try some. 100 years ago, apparently, in the one-room schoolhouses in Pennsylvania, every curriculum had a required section on honeybees, because every home had a colony. It was the kids that looked after them. Then, of course, we moved to the cities. We left the bees behind. We didn't realize that their main business is pollination. We like the honey, but the value of pollination is significantly more important.
Everybody see the queen?
And you put a little red dot on her back, because red is the color for 2018. It strikes me how fearful young people have become of the natural world. They're very calm, very gentle, wonderful little insects, have a remarkable intelligence. When she lays an egg, she has a choice as to whether to fertilize it or not. She can add sperm to the egg or not. If she does, it becomes a female bee, a worker. If she doesn't, it becomes a male or a drone. The drones who come from an unfertile egg are themselves fertile. The workers who come from a fertilized egg are infertile. She doesn't rule the hive, the workers rule. She's just a superb egg layer. She lays about 1,500 eggs a day. If the young people can come back and start to appreciate the natural world, I think that's the greatest gift of all.
We're naming her Walter. We're naming the queen Walter after my uncle Walter, who was an entomologist.
Okay. I'm super excited about our next guest, and full transparency and honesty, this is not just one of the biggest mover shakers in York County. It is one of my dearest friends. So I am super excited to introduce to all of you someone that I am very glad the universe introduced to me, the chairman of Latinos Unidos of York County, and the brainchild behind the hottest thing to hit First Friday since First Friday, which is First Friday Latino, an amazing new event that's been happening all over the city for the last several months and continues to grow and expand. We have on the show the one and only Lou Rivera.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
I feel like confetti should be coming out of the ceiling.
Rainbow colored.
Right, rainbow confetti and some balloons, maybe a fog machine. We're going to get really, really extra with it because you're worth it.
Thank you.
So
I love your dress, by the way. Let's start by saying
right,
that.
My soul hungers for color.
Yes, I love it.
And I love how much color you have brought to the community.
Oh, well, thank you.
In every way, shape, and form. I mean, we've had people from First Friday, we've had people from Downtown Inc. come in and join us on the show. And so a lot of us, we actually did a segment for several months where when First Friday was just getting started, where we actually went downtown and, kind of gave people a tour of First Friday. And it is a really fun thing. But over the years, I think there was this really growing awareness that the people that were hanging out downtown for First Friday were not necessarily all of the people that live downtown.
True.
We're just going to do our 100% reality check right here. That there were not necessarily events for the Black culture and the Latino culture that are a really important, vital part of downtown. And there was this question of, how do we do this authentically? How do we make sure that there's real representation and that there's real adventure and that we're really educating each other and having fun with each other in a way that isn't, a bunch of white people trying to put on a Latino event, a bunch of Latino people trying to put on a Black event. How do we make this really authentic, but also create space for us to talk to each other? And then all of a sudden, First Friday Latino pops up and starts happening, and everybody's like, what? Salsa lessons and amazing food and music and special events and this cool stuff happening, and it's its own thing, but it's part of First Friday, and people from every age and race are there. How did First Friday Latino happen? It seemed like it was just one day there was this amazing, fully developed, packed event that took First Friday by storm, but I know there has to be more to it than that.
Well, there really isn't. However, it's your passion. It's so, we were invited, I was invited to a First Thursday Latino in Lancaster. They had been,
so Lancaster does First Thursday Latino.
Yes, they do. And they've been doing it for 10 years.
What?
10 years.
What? Where has this been all my life?
We're behind the 8 ball, 10 years in York with regards to First Friday or First Thursday Latinos. So Jane Conover, the CEO of the York County Community Foundation, and I invited her. I said, hey, they're hosting a First Thursday Latino in Lancaster at the Community First Fund, Dan Betancourt and all his staff. And I said, I'd like to go. Would you like to join me? And she said, let's do it. So on our way there, we're talking about Latino engagement and all that. So we get there, and the First Thursday Latino in Lancaster, it's more of a professional development.
Mix and mingle.
Mix and mingle with the business and the professionals in the Latino community. But
Nice.
it's for everyone. However, I didn't want to have that because York needed more than that. We needed an engagement piece that reached out and resonated throughout our entire community. So on our way back, I say, Jane, I want to add to First Friday in York by creating a First Friday Latino. And she said, go for it. A month later, we had First Friday Latino, the inaugural First Friday Latino in York.
A month later.
A month later. And First Thursday was February, First Friday, March. So we had a month. So we had it at none other than the Center for the Community Engagement, a place where historically people of color were not allowed to be at, and our people came in through the back door, and
right.
women were not allowed to enter.
That's right. I think a lot of people don't know that history, that the building that now is York College Center for Community Engagement, before York College owned it, it was like a private club.
It was.
That was only Caucasian, European descent males that were allowed to be in there.
Absolutely.
The first time I had a person of color go in there, she broke down in tears because she remembered from the 50s and the early 60s being told she couldn't even walk in front of it.
Carolyn Steinhauser was one of the first females that was actually allowed. Her dad was part of that, and she was an advocate for women's rights, and she did a lot of great things. And then when Louis Appel bought it and he gave it to the York College, and it became the Center for Community Engagement, it was the perfect place to host our inaugural First Friday Latino March. And so I had approached, prior to that, I had approached Silas and Downtown Inc. We weren't, Latinos Unidos wasn't a 501c3, so they became our fiscal sponsor, and they were they welcomed it and embraced First Friday Latino. How could you not?
Awesome.
And so that's where it started. First Friday Latino March at the Center for Community Engagement. We had about 500 people there. We had El Serrano, Mi Caldero. We had two Tonys. We had Collusion Beer. We had Hala Vodka. We announced the start of the New American Welcoming Center. We honored the three ladies from Puerto Rico Se Levanta, Delma, Linda, and Angie, who had traveled to Puerto Rico to assist with the hurricane relief efforts.
That was
we
amazing.
had salsa lessons, and people just wanted to be there. We had a mix. It was the most inclusive and engaged party that I had ever been to in York in the 3 years that my husband and I have been here. So that's where it all started. So then in April, we had First Friday Latino at Central Market. And that one's a special one because we had children, Latino children in Central Market that had never been in Central Market, that lived less than 5 blocks away from Central Market, on the dance floor, having a great time. And then we had First Friday Latino May at the YMCA, where the governor and his wife showed up to our First Friday Latino. It was awesome. So First Friday Latino has become quite the inclusive and engagement party. It's my baby, as I like to say. And I'm going to announce to you something today that I have not announced publicly, and my campaign manager, Mildred Tavares, is probably going to kill me. I will be announcing my candidacy for York City Council at First Friday Latino October at Casa. And you've got first dibs on that. Sorry, Mil, but this is Carla Christopher, and I had to share the great news with her.
So, I mean, you have already been just the man who is really getting a lot of the gratitude of the city for making us aware of the importance of Latino culture in York and the vibrancy of Latino culture in York. And it's been amazing to see this incredible new engagement and awareness, all these businesses and these organizations that are getting involved now and becoming sponsors and partners with Latino events. We're seeing all the cool stuff with Welcoming Week, that's about York being welcoming to immigrants coming up. We're seeing all kinds of cool stuff happening with First Friday Latino. But now we're taking it into the political realm?
Absolutely.
Now, is this tied to your work in the Latino community? Is that what's making you feel like you want to be on the political side, or is it more than that? Like,
it's more than that.
Where is this coming from?
It's tied to my love for York City, because as a city councilman, I'm just not representing. I'm a voice for the Spanish-speaking community and the Latino community, but I'm representing all of York. And when all of York is represented and they do well, then it's a healthier community. And the Latino community has historically been disenfranchised and has been sitting on the sidelines. And I believe that I'm here, it's a calling for me, and I'm here for a reason. This is not about Lou Rivera. This is about the 33% of Latinos that live in York that have been underrepresented. And all we ask is that we're given the opportunity to get better educated, given the opportunity to be part of the workforce, given the opportunity to have economic and business development, and given the opportunity to sit on boards and commission so that we can be a voice for the people. Because if you see by the First Friday Latinos, where it's a mix of our African American brothers and sisters and white brothers and sisters and Asian brothers and sisters and Latinos, that's what is really representative of what York City is all about.
And I love that there is the reality that we have all these different races and cultures that are represented in York, but that we're seeing that it's not just about people that have different skin color. You know, because really, what does skin color matter in the end? But that we have all these different strengths, we have different styles of food and music, and we have different businesses, we have different locations, we have different agencies, we have different people that are doing all different kinds of good work, and we don't always have the communication to know what the others are doing.
Absolutely.
And how important is it, how much better can all of us function if we can actually create a space where we can talk to each other.
I believe that.
Share resources and ideas. And I love this idea that you are a connector and a communicator who's able to say, hey, you who have lived here your whole life and have never been to these places, you've never met these people, you've never had these conversations, let's get in the same room. Hey, you who have been doing these events and in these spaces, but you haven't been able to connect with the people that could be filling your spaces, and that you have found a way to bring people into one space. That to me is just such a gift.
Thank you so much. You know, you made a great point, the connector. So let's go back to Latinos Unidos. So Latinos Unidos was founded in January by a few of us in the leaders in the Latino community.
Right. This is a really new initiative.
It's a new initiative because the Spanish American Center closed down in December, and it became CASA, which with their greatness and their reaching out to the immigrants.
We love CASA.
We do love CASA.
But now CASA focuses, they are an organization that is in multiple states and focused primarily on immigration and support for
the undocumented,
newcomers.
the DACA, the dreamers, the newcomers. And they also support the Puerto Rican community, very progressive.
Right.
They do great things.
But it meant that there was a place in the community that now we had the wider Latino community that no longer had that sort of general gathering space to be served, to be advocated for outside of what CASA did as an agency. So Latinos Unidos came together
and that's that connector organization that services the local Spanish-speaking Latino community. So in less than 6 months, we created our logo. We have we became a 501c3, which was very important.
That's like a miraculous journey to being a nonprofit. That's
Absolutely.
So quick.
And we thank CGA Law Firm and Frank Countess for granting us the ability to become a 501c3. But great people. The Jose Santiagos, the Jose Colomboneses, the Elodias, the Delmas, the Angie Garrisons, the Mil Tavareses, the Lloyds, and the Thaises. We've worked hard to really galvanize and energize our community.
And that's been incredible. I mean, I have seen more Latino-based activism and awareness raising and education. I mean, I've seen, hosting politicians coming from Puerto Rico, like lots of real awareness about what was going on after Hurricane Maria and really helping people understand and learn more about the reality of what's going on in Puerto Rico, but also the amount of fundraising and just raising of goods and supplies that there have been 2 trips so far.
2 trips.
Where actual delegates from York went to Puerto Rico and were going into, just regions of mountains and floods and with no power, no electricity, helping bring people generators and water purifiers and food and medical supplies. That you were able to create an event and a help resource that actually tangibly saves lives, and was able to get into places that, Red Cross is still struggling to figure out how to get into. Somehow, Latinos Unidos of York was able to figure out how to get the supplies, the money, the people, and make this huge change. And that we have brought people back. Yes, like there are people that are now settled in York County that are hurricane victims and hurricane exiles.
Thousands of displaced Puerto Ricans in the 222 corridor between Philadelphia, Reading, Allentown, Lancaster, York, Hanover, Gettysburg, that are displaced that we're also still trying to assist.
And they're in both York City and York County, as well as in the wider region. And Latinos Unidos is helping connect all of these local folks to resources and help in the area to become settled, to be able to find work and make sure that they're able to really live their best lives here.
Absolutely. So in October, right after the hurricane, we created Puerto Rico Se Levanta, which was created prior to Latinos Unidos. So we've been at it it's going to be a year next month. And in that, we had Delma and Bob Riley and a bunch of leaders. And York College was a partner with, at the time, the Spanish American Center in the city of York. We created Puerto Rico Se Levanta. We got the banners, and the York County Community Foundation gave to the cause, and so did the Downtown Rotary, and then which presented us with a big check back in January to help with the relief efforts, and then they honored us with another check for $5,000, and I have to thank Brian Tate and the Rotary for that, And that's in a bank account, so when we schedule our next trip to Puerto Rico, we will be taking that with us to assist those in Puerto Rico. So we've received a lot of support and a lot of great people on these committees to better the lives of the whatever we can do to better the lives of the Puerto Rican people in Puerto Rico.
What an incredible, real response to disaster. You know, that to me says so much about who York is. That when we see, and we just talked to a good friend of both of ours, Joan Maruskin, about York being the kindest place in America and 10,000 acts of kindness coming out of York, that it would be so easy to say, well, we've got struggles here and that's far away, and why should we care about something far away? And yet you have shown that we don't have to make a choice about being kind. It's not like there's only a limited bit of kindness that we can only give some out to the people that we know or that we like. We can take care of and do a tremendous amount for people that are our American siblings, you know, in one of our territories that we have, you know, local folks have family, friends there, and we can do work in Puerto Rico, but we can also do work in our own communities. We can also do entertainment and awareness raising and engagement that's cross-culture. I mean, there's so many ways in which Latinos Unidos and some of the other initiatives that you've been involved in, from First Friday Latino and Puerto Rico Se Levanta, and I mean, even just working through the church, through the community, through, you know, the other areas that you're connected as an individual, that we don't have to make a choice about where to be kind, and we don't have to make a choice about where to do good. I think that's one of probably the most valuable lessons I've learned from watching the cultural movement that you're doing. That I think there are some people that make the mistaken assumption that if you're doing church work or Latino work or Black work or children work or youth work, that it only is in that community and that's where you need to put all your energy. And you are living proof that that's not the case. That if you care about York, if you care about people, that you can use all your talents, all your connections, all your energy, and find dozens of ways to make a difference that affects everybody, that reaches everybody.
Absolutely, but this is a team effort. We've got a bunch of partners, people that have given their all, that have been in our community for years and years. So I happen to be at the right place at the right time. However, working at the baseball stadium gave me the opportunity to be able to connect with a lot of the power brokers and the funders in the community and get those relationships going. Because you know very well, Carla, that the Latino community is a very poor community as a whole. And we need to get out of that, not only the mentality of being poor, but out of being poor. We want to be self-sufficient. We don't want to be asking for money here and there all the time. We want to be in 3 to 5 years, have a fund at the Community Foundation where we say, you know what, this $250,000 is going to be for scholarships for the people of color community when they go to college and things like that. Because when you ask for 1,000 here and 5,000 there, and you're always asking, you're almost almost beholden to those organizations that continue to give while you're on the sidelines. And we don't want to do that anymore. We want to be part of the conversation all the time. We want to be part of the power brokers and the funders, Latinos Unidos, in the future, just like the Community Foundation is, or the YCEA is, or those great organizations that do great things for our community, right?
Absolutely.
So, and that's the mission. That's the mission of Latinos Unidos, is to engage and empower the Latino community. But as we engage and empower the Latino community, you also engage and empower the entire community. And that becomes a better York. Sometimes I feel like we're behind even Lancaster, 40, 50 years in their engagement. Because I believe that not for the lack of the hard work that the Latinos in our community have done, because these people, my brothers and sisters that are by my side in this endeavor, on this journey, including you, they're very supportive. We've just taken it to the next level. And we're going to keep the foot on the gas pedal. Because
I love it.
Because you need to.
Foot on the gas pedal. That is so exciting. So we have so many ways that you can be involved. There is Puerto Rico Se Levanta, which is an amazing relief effort that supports our siblings in Puerto Rico who are still without power, many still without safe drinking water and access to food. And so there are donations that are still being accepted. We have had some beautiful, beautiful sisters and friends of mine, Delma and Angie and Linda, who have helped lead teams to go down to Puerto Rico and really deliver not just aid, but encouragement and just the message that they are loved and supported there and not forgotten. So you can be donating in preparation for the next trip. You can also be coming to First Friday Latino, which is an amazing event. There's always community partners that are involved. There's a new location that's being showcased. So if you're looking for a way to really find out what's going on in the city, who are making positive changes, who is doing great work, you can come to a First Friday Latino and you can dance the night away. You can have amazing food. You can have incredible community engagement and networking and get to know folks. And you can also, if you are interested in programming, in things like translation and tutoring and scholarships, you can find ways to get involved in supporting the Latino community and also in learning more and in finding ways to connect, whether you are a business, whether you are a family, whether you are a community organization, nonprofit, artist, creative, that there are ways to really grow our cultural bounds and connections, just really strengthen those bonds. So now where can people go to find out more about how to make these connections with Latinos Unidos of York and First Friday and Puerto Rico Se Levanta?
So Latinos Unidos of York, you can like our Facebook page, Latinos Unidos of York, and you can always reach out to us via instant message. We're all over town, so you could,
absolutely.
That would be myself and Delma, Jose, Thais, Mill, Lloyd, Oziel, people in our community. Absolutely. They know where to find us. And then Puerto Rico Se Levanta, also we update on Facebook. There'll be another trip to Puerto Rico in October, I'm thinking, so that we could go and assist in the relief efforts again. And then with First Friday Latino, it's every first Friday. The next one is October 5th at Casa. The November 1st Friday is at Union Lutheran Church. And then the December 1st Friday Latino is at the Agricultural and Industrial Museum. So, yes, so
those are exciting.
Yeah, they are. We're excited. First Friday Latino, people question, why are we having most of these events downtown? That was the whole point of First Friday Latino, is to engage those that have otherwise not been into the downtown area with those that really hang out downtown, really engage in the Latino community. So it works. It works for all of us, because we're 33% of our community.
That is
and
correct.
Downtown is part of our community. So, but yeah.
And so not only are all these exciting events things that you can become a part of, but you can apparently, you heard it here, become involved in the amazing campaign of Lou Rivera. So make sure to keep an eye out for that on Facebook, because I know there'll be chances for donations and volunteering and offering support and just getting more involved following the campaign and all the work that you're wanting to do with the city as the next several months are coming up as well.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on another amazing episode of Spotlight, a production of Culture in Maine, York's Cultural Showcase. We want to hear your ideas, and we want you to be a part of the show. Whether you're an artist or a fan, send us an email to cultureinmaine@gmail.com. Check us out on the web at wrct.tv. Or make sure to find all of our past episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/White Rose Community TV. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great week. We'll see you soon, right here on the corner of Culture and Maine.